Dennis, you never know when he's going to show up. He could just pop in at any moment.
Right.
That's right. And you pushing the button reminds me that I'm going to be the host, and I should start thinking about that.
Yeah. We put together a very terse show notes for you, Pete.
Yeah, I
Not
see
many,
that.
not many words.
No, not
These show notes are good.
Through. We should.
These are maybe the best show notes that we put together.
Definitely under an hour's worth of content, if I had to guess. There's a lot going on in here. I mean, there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, definitely.
There's a lot going on, most of which is just me ranting.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm allowed to do that. That's
in
actually...
fact, I'm going to do a little rearranging because this guy, I believe, should be more down in this range.
Hey, I guess I'll ask you about that later. Once the
What?
starts. About your scheme to escape Seattle.
Yeah, that's in the show notes. We got to wait on that.
Let's discuss our personal lives.
I feel like we do that like a quarter of the time. Maybe not that much. Maybe only like a fifth.
Yeah. Well, you know. If there's one thing I'm sure that everybody on our MLS is really curious about, it's our personal lives. My personal life in particular.
Exactly.
Oh, so apparently RMLS was not as excited as I was about the Vanden Arms guy. So you know how we got like 250 listens the week before with John MLTX?
Yeah.
We only got like 130 this last week.
Maybe they listened to the John MLTX one and then they were like, I'm not listening to that anymore.
Well, we'll see.
Oh,
Yeah.
Snap. Zach, that means you got big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I can pull on any quote-unquote celebrity powers there, but...
Yeah, I mean, that's the good news, right, is that you're awfully active in the subreddit, so I think that's... I mean, to me, like, as a member of the subreddit, if I wasn't on this podcast, I would be more interested in hearing what you have to say than Clint from the Vanden Arms. But
yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, maybe Redditors just care about fellow Redditors.
especially active ones that contribute to the community, which I think anyone would have a hard time arguing that you don't. So,
right.
Hey, you never know. I mean, some people might actually say, "Oh God, it's Cruise, dude. I'm gonna have to download that one." Well,
that
maybe
guy,
I can, but
yeah, that Lenhart apologist.
oh, geez.
All right, well. Should we get going? No Dennis, just make it happen?
Yeah,
I mean, of course, if Dennis shows up, he's always welcome.
Yeah, if he shows up and if
Get out of here, Dennis!
You're late. You're not allowed.
I like it.
So what we're going to do is we are going to... I'll start the podcast and introduce myself. And then it looks like it's usually alphabetical order, so it'll be Ian, Josh, and then you. So just give your name and your username, and I don't think anybody will have any trouble knowing who you are, and then we'll get it started. You guys okay to kind of start with recapping the weekend since we've got the scores up top, and then we'll jump into the news?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we usually do. Are there any games right off the bat that we know we don't give a shit about? Like Montreal Philly. We can skip that one.
We can throw that
Wait,
out.
no, we can't skip that one because we have to talk about it. We have to talk about it because we all said who's going to win their first game this weekekend coming up. Nobody gets Montreal. Fucking
That's
Montreal
fair.
won,
Can we wait until the bold predictions part of that though at the very end?
No.
Oh, damn it.
Why do you?
Well, okay, that's all we have to say, though. We don't have to break down or dissect that game, simply that we were surprised that Montreal won.
Here's the thing, though. If we start talking about that game, I'm going to start talking about the Wenger Jack Mack trade, and then we're going to talk about that for 10 minutes, and then...
Hey, wait. You could, novel concept, I know, but you could exercise some self-control. and just say, like, hey, that's weird, next. And then we could talk about the other... So I think we should talk about the scores because we need to bring up certain predictions that people made which were correct and which were incorrect.
Like how I said Portland would win.
Like how I said no one would win.
Yep, both of them. We're going to talk about both of those. I'm going to gloat, because I don't get a chance to gloat about anything else.
Well, the problem with that is that all the games that I would want to throw out and not talk about are those games. I also have no interest in talking about San Jose Chivas other than the fact that San Jose got their first...
Come on!
We have the San Jose...
I'm just kidding. I know.
Although
No, actually, I think there's a lot that happened in that game that's worth talking about. I think that game is actually a good game to talk about. I would probably leave Columbus, New York out. I don't know. Let's just make it happen, and we'll see how it goes.
Oh, Columbus, New York was really interesting, though.
Okay, Ian, what do you not want to talk about?
Well, that's why I brought up Montreal Philly. I didn't want to talk... Okay, let's also not talk about the CONCACAF Champions League final, because none of us watched it, I assume.
Yes, that I can't remove that other than putting a big white box there, and that would just be ugly, so... In the name of better design, I left it there.
We're having the podcast right now. You realize that? Like we're essentially doing the podcast, and we just forgot to say. We forgot to do the lead-in.
No, it says live, but no one. I mean, I'm gonna edit that out.
Or I
know, but what I'm saying is we're getting rid of things we could say.
You're right.
We do this every time. The lead-ins
time.
to our pod is actually better than the pod itself.
Yeah,
by the time we get to the pod, we're just like, we've said everything clever that we have to say, and it's just like, some stuff happened.
All right, well, if we give time and we don't take an hour and a half,
okay,
maybe I'll add some elite and stuff back.
Okay, perfect. All right, so I'm going to get it started, and then we will jump right into it. All right, welcome everyone to another episode of the /MLS podcast. I'm filling in for Chris today. My name is Pete, user PunkRockPete.
I am Ian, username Armascarhu.
I am Josh, username 97227ist.
And I'm Zach, username Some Cruise Dude.
Yay! We got a guest! I'm excited. We have a guest who actually
We have a guest who's
really
on
meaningful content.
That too, and we have a guest who's with us instead of doing the awkward Ian interview thing.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us, Zach. We appreciate it. I'm sure plenty of the Redditors know you as Some Cruise Dude. You've been good about doing match threads and just being awfully prevalent in our subreddit. So thanks for coming on. And let's jump right into it, guys. We had quite a few games this weekend. What do we have? All but 3 teams in action, is that right?
Everybody but Chicago and some other teams.
LA.
Oh,
and
Toronto. Yeah, that's right. How could you forget about LA and Toronto?
How could you forget that LA still has only played 5 games?
Yeah. Oh, the magic of scheduling.
That's good stuff.
One thing I would like.
LA. Oh, it's probably because.
Well, so somebody pointed out on the subreddit today that, like Kansas City, they had early CCL to get through, but it sounds like the league gave them the option of taking off the weekend games while they had midweek CCL, and LA took that option and Sporting did not. Hence, Sporting's played 7 games to LA's 5. So.
It didn't really do them that much good, unfortunately. I do like the MLS is. I mean, they are trying really, really hard to help all their teams that are in the CCL. I think that's nice that they're doing that. I would like to see it pay dividends at some point in the future.
I mean,
LA could try harder next time by not starting Leonardo at center back.
Ooh. Burn.
LA is kind of notorious for, out of the teams that have been there consistently, sending pretty weak squads, even in the knockout rounds. And so I think Bruce Arena has to care more about the CCL. But honestly, no matter how much we do scheduling-wise, the Mexican teams are going to be in mid-season form, and we're going to be in preseason form, and that's fucking tough, no matter how you cut it.
Does anybody know what do you get if you win the CCL?
You get to go to the Club World Cup.
Yeah, you get a berth into the Club World Cup, and a lot of money. I think that they've said
that that was what I was looking at.
Yeah, I want it. I'm just gonna pull this out of my ass, but I want to say $250,000, and I believe that's cash, not like allocation dollars.
I thought that was U.S. Open Cup, though.
Oh, that could be it.
Yeah,
they're the same thing, right? They're completely like those are equivalent. The U.S. Open Cup and the CCL, it's the same competition.
Yeah, that championship we won last year. It was so awesome.
Yeah. How'd that make you feel? Do you feel ready to take on Bayern?
Yeah, absolutely.
After today.
They played today.
Oh man. So
let's talk about our league.
Nobody watched the CCL final. Good. We can just skip that.
I'm looking at the score and I see it as a 1-1, so I'm going to assume that was PKs.
You never know because it's a two-legged final, I think.
Right. I think Cruz
So-
won. The team that beat San Jose did not win.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which was
okay.
sweet
Okay.
justice. Actually, it was PKs, I think.
Oh, it did? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think the first round was actually 0-0. I might be wrong, but yeah, it was kind of fitting for Toluca to win one on PKs and then lose one on PKs.
How was I'm interested as a San Jose fan? How, because Chris and I were watching that game happen because we were supposed to podcast record today, but nobody showed up. So we were like, we just watched the game, and we were really upset ourselves, not being San Jose fans. How were you affected by that?
That was probably the loudest I've yelled like at a TV screen in a very long time. When Gordon ended up offside, and then also when Salinas hit the bar, my heart sank. That was like probably one of the most intense experiences for sports because I mean, basically whoever won Toluca and San Jose, that would have been, they might as well not have played the semifinal round. No offense to the other team, the Guatemalan team, I think. But they didn't have to face another Liga MX team. So the Earthquakes went from being, okay, they got out of their group with 6 points, which I didn't even think was actually possible. And then they end up going to Toluca and like, okay, they're going to get crushed. I actually went to the first game. I made a big deal about it during the match thread that I was sitting near Ramiro Corrales. That blew my mind.
Ooh.
Yeah. I told a story about Earthquakes, but basically I ended up talking to him a bit, tried to leave him alone because I didn't want to like be like all fanboying, I guess that would be a term for it. But it was pretty cool because he was saying like he wished he could be out there, and it just really humanized it. But it was funny to hear him basically smack talking Toluca in Spanish. That was nice because there were a lot of Toluca fans there at Buckshaw. It was the thing that really set the tone was hearing Puto after our own goalkeeper was kicking the ball. I was like,
nice.
Wow, this doesn't feel right. But get back to the main point of it. Just watching both games, I was like thinking, this could be going worse. I mean, we weren't scored on the first 5 minutes like some other teams. So that was always good. I think someone clarified in one of the match threads. They said, no, it was like 7 minutes. I'm like, oh, okay. Sorry about that. But, it was something where it's like, I felt like if we could have beat Toluca, they were the top seed, then we would have had, because I like CCL with that, you actually inherit the home field advantage. So we would have had home field advantage in the finals if we got there, which may have been pretty good. Facing Cruz Azul. So, I mean, and then also the stuff added in with Toluca being fined like a very small amount for filming the practice. I was like, this just doesn't feel good with me.
Especially when it went to PKs. Like, filming people taking their PKs and then going to it and losing is just, that's a tough pill to swallow, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's definitely, I was like, there's no way I can prove that PKs were filmed, but you gotta think, if you're going into a semifinal match where if it ends in a draw, and your strategy is basically to get a draw at, and it's going to end with PKs, then you're probably going to be practicing them. So yeah, I mean, we got CONCACAF in that way that Toluca didn't really have to pay anything for it.
Yeah, everybody's got to get the CONCACAF at least once.
Well, you guys got it twice because that offside call could have gone either way, probably, right?
Yeah.
But that's the thing, is that if it could go either way, then
it always goes against.
Yeah. Yep. That should go to the offensive player. But let's move to happier news. You got your first win this weekend.
Yeah, that was very nice. I mean, I was thinking, I was thinking like, oh man, we're facing Chivas. This might not be good. And I was thinking, wow, that's the first time I've ever actually thought that. No offense to if any Chivas fans listen to this, but you got to be realistic. And watching that game again, Atiba Harris starting over Jallo, that was because Jallo's injured, so we're like, oh, that'll be interesting. And for the past 2 games, Wondolowski, he's been playing central midfield, which is far from his natural position, and that hasn't done us any well. So basically, a lot of San Jose fans look at games as before Jallo and after Jallo time, and when he got subbed in the second half, there was a neat difference, and that included Wondolowski actually, believe it or not, playing in the striker position. And so even though he ended up not scoring that game, Jallo, he hit the mark, and I think a lot of Earthquake fans are excited about him because, ironically, we were all looking at Parazzi as being the game changer, but really Jallo is the one to really change the game for us.
So I will say that at the beginning of the season, I thought San Jose was going to be pretty bad. And then they proved me wrong pretty much right away with that CCL performance. I feel like it's taken them a little bit to recover from that, but I feel like they could be at least a playoff threat, unlike Chivas, who I've had to drop because I thought they were going to be a playoff contender, but oh well. So how about the play of Cordell Cato? He really impressed me, and Chase Salinas really impressed me in those CCL games, and JJ Caval's been great. How you guys feeling about those guys?
Well, it looks like, depending on where Jallo ends up playing, Jallo is taking Cato's place. Although, for whatever reason, Cato hasn't even been playing. Harris has been playing instead of Cato, which is confusing all San Jose fans. One of the things that concerns us is that we don't really know the style that our team is playing right now. And so, Salinas, he's been dishing out assists. I think he's tied for assist leader in MLS right now. He's just silently been one of the most consistent players for our team and just in the league. But I think once we get players to full health like Jallo, our team's going to actually be one that people are going to be worried about instead of how it's been where it's like with Harris and players like that starting where I'm not sure what they're doing there, honestly. Yeah, but they've all been good.
Yeah, I definitely have a soft spot for Cordell Cato. I was sad to see him leave the Sounders. I thought that he was a strong young talent, and I'm afraid that the same thing's going to happen with the Quakes that happened with us, which is that he has great speed and seems to be getting better awareness, but just is somehow going to get beat out by experienced players. Like he seems to be kind of right on the verge of the starting 11 and on the wrong side of the bench a lot.
Yeah, definitely I can see that. And I feel that this season probably will be a make or break for him because he's, especially in the absence of Marvin Chavez, he's going to be getting a lot more time at right mid, and he'll be able to actually have time in his position. So, yeah, I mean, the upside is big, but the downside could also be big. But so far, he's done well. And also, I got to say, with Cato, it was weird seeing him come to San Jose because he was the one who scored the goal that knocked the Quakes out of the U.S. Open Cup a couple of years ago during that big match against Seattle.
Right, the infamous question mark match.
Yeah, because
wait, what?
Well, first of all,
somehow, even though a game that was hosted by a team in Silicon Valley, that team decided to be responsible for streaming the game. And for large chunks, all us at home watching on a stream saw was a white